This is Unreal 4. It uses a combination of Blueprint and C++ to make games. Blueprint is like Unreal's pre-made drag and drop code, a bit like Scratch. I started using Unreal Engine in April this year. This is my first 3D game I've ever made. I will start by using the third-person character Blueprint to illustrate the workings of Blueprint. Event begin play is run when the level is first opened. Get current level name gets the current level name. Then it checks if it's level 3. If it isn't, it creates a survival HUD widget. It does this because I don't want it run during level 3, which is a cutscene level, so it wouldn't make sense to have a HUD. Then it checks if a save game exists. If it doesn't, it creates one. If it does, it loads it. I set the save game as a variable. Using the save game, I set the character's player hunger, battery, and pumpkins to the hunger, battery, and pumpkins collected in the save game. This allows compatibility between different levels. Input action flashlight controls the torch turning on and off. It is linked to the F key. So when the F key is pressed, it runs this code. First of all, it checks if the torch is already on. If it is, it turns the torch off. If it isn't, it checks if the player battery is greater than 0. And if it's greater than 0, it will turn it on. Otherwise, it will keep it off. Input action sprint is similar to torch. It is linked to the shift key. So when shift key is pressed, if player stamina is greater or equal to 1, it will start player sprinting and double this walking speed. When it's released, it will set it back to normal. Event tick means it's run every millisecond. If we look at the first thing it does in the sequence block, it shows us that it's to do with the player's hunger. If the player's hunger is greater than 0, then it will wait 10 seconds and set the player's hunger to player hunger -1. This just means that it runs every 10 seconds effectively. If player hunger is equal to 0, then it will create the death menu widget. This is run when the player dies and shows that the player is dead. It will show the mouse cursor and set the game to pause state. Then if we look at the torch. Now this is the bit run every frame, where it decreases the amount of torch battery you have left if the torch is on. If you're sprinting, decreases the stamina. It does this every 0.2 seconds. And similarly, every 0.2 seconds, it will increase stamina by 2 if you're not sprinting, allowing your stamina to recharge. Finally, I just look at the bat sounds. This is run every 35 to 55 seconds. It plays the bat sound and it only allows it to be run again when the bat sound has been run. I'm now going to talk about Sequencer, which is used to make animations. Sequencer uses different components and controls them through the timeline, which you can see on the right of the screen. For each component, for the components I use were the mannequin, the door, and the second door to make the double door, which you can see in the game. For each component, you have a location, rotation, and scale option. The mannequin, because it's a skeletal mesh, has an additional animation tab, which controls the different animations you can have. For example, the idle animation and the run animation are the two I've used. Then you can add keyframes to the timeline. This means at a specific point in time, which is indicated by the timeline, the component must be either at this location, rotation, or scale, depending on what you selected. Next, I will be talking about how I made the terrain using Unreal Engine 4. First of all, at the top, you have different options, which are place, paint, landscape, foliage, and geometry. Place allows you to easily place different items into the world. For example, this cone which I just brought in. Paint allows you to paint different colours, weights, and textures to the world. Landscape allows you to edit the landscape. It allows you to raise the landscape, like I'm doing here, as well as lower it. As well as this, you have a paint option. This allows you to paint the surrounding landscape like you can see in the game. Grass I've pre-imported from earlier, so that is the grass landscape. Foliage tool is very useful. It allows you to place different foliage very easily, which you've already imported. For example, the bog myrtle bush. You can control the brush size, the paint density, as well as what type of foliage or environmental things that you're importing. You can change the density of each item as well as the scale, so as not to make them all the same size, as this doesn't look very natural. Packaging in Unreal is very easy. All you have to do is go to File, Package Project, and from here you can pick the platform you want. For Windows, for example, you have options for 32-bit and 64-bit. It does have options for other platforms, however, for now, packaging to other platforms is unavailable.